All right. Newfoundland, Lawrence, Kansas, Minnesota, Corey from Chicago, Cornwall, Connecticut, Las Vegas, Vancouver, Washington, Lakewood, Ohio, New Hampshire, Ventura, California, Florence, Italy in the house, Boston, Mexico City, Plattsburgh, Cloverdale, BC, Galveston, Texas, Miami, Florida, Japan, incredible, Queensland, Australia, Santa Rosa, California, Vermont, New Hampshire, Halifax, Canada, oh my God, you guys, Denver, Colorado, Montreal, Double Dillon, West Virginia, Debbie Dillon, West Virginia, from West Virginia. Hey, Telluride, Colorado, Israel in the house, Valencia, California, Indianapolis, St. Albert, Alberta, Georgia, Melbourne, Massachusetts, Saratoga Springs, Melbourne, Scotland in the house. Wow. San Diego, Venice, Florida, San Francisco, Virginia Beach, Bishop, California, St. Louis, Tacoma, Washington, Glenwood Springs. Oh my God, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Laredo, Texas, Michigan, Dallas, Texas. You guys are incredible. You guys are incredible. Fantastic. Oh, it just keeps going. That's what happens when you get hundreds of people together in the room. I can't even read the feed. It moves so quickly. Oh, goodness. Well, welcome. I want to extend a huge welcome to everybody. And let's start tonight. We have lots to cover in this webinar. And so let's start by stopping. Just come sitting up tall. And just turn the palms, just face up on your knees, nice and relaxed. The spine is straight. And let's just take 3 centering breaths together. Allow the eyes to close for a moment. And become centered. Take a deep inhale. And a full exhale. Take your time. Inhale deeply. Exhale fully. Take a deep inhale. Pause this breath for a moment. Draw the belly in slightly. Eyes are closed, looking up slightly. And exhale. Gently allow the eyes to come open. Wonderful. Always good to start first by stopping. That was one of the first things I learned on a yoga mat a long time ago was first stop, then we start. Okay. Just a few business deals to get into, a few business details to get into tonight. Let's see. And maybe some business deals too. All right. So much of life is just showing up. And you guys showed up tonight. We've got almost 300 people in the room. Just for showing up, you will be receiving a video bonus this evening by email, right after the webinar. Now, at the end of this webinar, I will speak with you about the Recovery 2.0 membership and make you a special offer to join. I want you to know about that up front. After that, I will provide the link to 2 more special videos that I think you will enjoy, that I think will serve you in your recovery and in your life. I sincerely hope you'll decide to stay till the end of this webinar, all the way to the end, because this offer I'm going to make you, it's time sensitive, and it also presents an opportunity for unlocking tremendous potential healing and joy in your life. So let's jump right in. If you guys have printed out your workbooks, have them here, and you can write down notes, and you can take down certain action steps that I'll be sharing with you throughout each part of this presentation tonight. Okay, so whenever you launch a webinar and you want to share important information, you have to find a way to deliver it in a way that can be accessed, in a way that can be learned easily. So that's what we've tried to do here. 4 pillars, 4 essential aspects to overcoming addiction and to thrive in your life. First pillar, transformation. Recognize that a transformation is what we're talking about. If you are stuck in addiction or stuck in a pattern, if you feel lonely or isolated, if you are struggling in some area of your life, in order to get from where you are ultimately to where you want to be is going to require a transformation. Realize that the transformation will take place by bringing new routines into your life. In addiction, I'll speak specifically about my story. Let's just say that stress of any kind was the reason why I decided to use a drug or alcohol, that some form of stress was involved, whether that was being manic and excited or depressed or worried or anxious. Some form of stress began thoughts and then formed into actions. The action I would take would be to get high. And in Recovery 2.0, we talk a lot about the different ways that people engage in addiction: drugs, alcohol, food addiction, people addictions, so that's codependency and sex addiction, all the money-based addictions, gambling, shopping, or being constantly in a state of debt, and then, of course, technology, and countless other ways that we distract ourselves from what we perceive to be an intolerable present. Well, it begins with stress of some kind for me. I get high in any of the ways that I just named, and that brings about an outcome. And at least for a little while, at the beginning, the outcome is pleasant. So when I first discovered marijuana or drinking when I was 13, 14, 15, 16 years old in my adolescence, I did it because I liked the effect that it brought about. I didn't realize at the time the incredible prices I was going to have to pay later on for those actions. But the main point was there was a stressor, there was an action that I took, and it brought about a certain effect. The transformation is simply to change the action that you take. That is to say, to change the routine. Bring a new routine into your life that brings about the same effect or more positive because it doesn't have a downside later on. How about this definition of addiction? Addiction is a futile attempt for an individual to stop their own transformation. A futile attempt for an individual to stop their transformation. When we're in active addiction, we're stagnant. We're stuck. There's stuck energy. There's a blockage. And we can't move from where we are to where we want ultimately to be. What's required for this transformation to take place? Well, we're going to need a new routine. But in order to bring a routine into our life, what do we need? We're going to have to start with 3 key characteristics: honesty, humility, open mind. You have to be capable of honesty in order to begin a transformation from where you are ultimately to where you need to be. Without honesty, you couldn't even look at your own behavior and honestly see where you are, what happened, why it happened. Your viewpoint would be skewed, and it would be at a great distance from the truth. And that brings about more pain and more suffering. You'll also need humility. Humility is just the ability to see things clearly as they are. So in my life, let's see, when I first got sober, for example, I went to treatment. And when I got to treatment, I was humiliated, but not necessarily humble. I had been humiliated, or I humiliated myself behind drug addiction. Maybe some of you guys can relate to that concept. But there I was, and over the course of treatment, I developed humility. That meant that I saw what my strengths were, and I didn't diminish them or amplify them. I saw what my weaknesses were. I didn't diminish them or amplify them. I saw myself in the world as I was, at least much more clearly than I had when I got there. And that turned out to be one of the greatest and most important assets for my recovery. Third thing, open mind. Must have an open mind. Why? If you want to go from here to there, you're going to have to receive teachings. You're going to have to be open to the advice, to the consultation, and to the support and love of others. If you don't keep an open mind, and by association, an open heart, it will be impossible for you to learn the new things that you need to learn in order to move from here to there. Now, I talk about the 3 Ds, and the 3 Ds are very important when we talk about transformation. The first is desire, and I mean great desire. You're going to need this great, heartfelt desire in order to move out of addiction and to find recovery, and ultimately to keep going along the path step by step by step by step, so that you can ultimately thrive in your life, in every area of your life. If you don't have that great desire, and I've never known anyone to get sober who didn't have it, then it will be very, very difficult to move along that path. Next, once you have that desire, well, you've never done this before. Every one of us is a beginner to our next step. In order to get to that next step, we have to go into territory that is uncharted by us, but not uncharted by others. So we need direction. That's the second D. We have to go find a teacher. We have to find somebody that can guide us into that uncharted territory where we have never been before. Once you have that great desire and you've got good direction, now you need discipline. The discipline to apply the good direction that you've now been given. Now that discipline is going to come from within you, but it's also going to come from your community, and we'll get to that in just a moment. So, what are we transforming? Well, it's simple. We're transforming everything. How does addiction attack the human being? It attacks the human being at the level of mind, at the level of body, and at the level of spirit. Our response to addiction, our transformation must therefore be at the level of mind, the level of body, and the level of spirit. Mentally speaking, and I'm hoping that you guys get this concept, let's put it this way, I'm sure you're going to get this concept. We must be free of mental affliction. We have to be free of negative thinking. We have to think differently. Now, many of you who either know my work or have read my book or maybe are familiar with me in some way, and for those who haven't, I'll tell you now, I learned an incredible amount in early recovery, and I got sober through the 12 steps. That was a powerful, powerful program for me. And I only wanted one thing from it. Now, it may have many promises, but I only wanted one. There's only one thing I wanted. And I told my sponsor and friends, family, people who were close to me, I can't live in this head. I need to think differently. I need to go from a person who can't imagine a day without drugs, without alcohol. I have to go from that person to another person who can't imagine a day that involved drugs and alcohol. That transformation in thinking was delivered to me after about 6 to 9 months through the working of the 12 steps, that process. I woke up one day and I realized, wow, I can't remember the last time I actually thought about using drugs. And it's so critically important because if you're stuck in any addiction right now, or you're just stuck in a plateau of your life, you're thinking, perhaps, how do I get to that next place? Well, if the thinking doesn't change, then you'll just keep doing what you've done. You'll keep getting what you've gotten. So that mental piece is critical. Physically, the issues are in our tissues. The issues are in our tissues. Your past, your pain, your trauma, your insecurity, your loneliness, all of those things are stored literally in the tissues of the body. So whatever we do to approach a solution to addiction, It's going to have to include some form of practice, mind-body practice, that gets deep enough into the body to release those stuck emotional energies from the past. So we cannot leave the physical out of this equation. And then you have the spiritual. Listen, we have to address our feeling of longing. Think for a minute. Every human being, everyone you've ever met, and certainly you know this about yourself, we long to connect. We long to experience love. We long to have a purpose, to feel like we're here for a reason, and to have meaning in this world. That is spirituality. How do we find our place here? How do we connect in with all the things seen and unseen around us that can bring forth this transformation, this very transformation that we're talking about? So we can't avoid a discussion of the spiritual side of life if we're going to move forward from here, where we are today, to the next step, whatever that means for you, where you are today. So that's the first pillar. Here's your action step. This action step, there's two action steps here. First action step, come to this understanding that a transformation is what's needed. Admit it. Admit, I'm stuck here, or I'm uncomfortable here, or here is not ultimately where I want to be. Admit that, and then get ready to embrace a process of transformation that will last one day, every day, for the rest of your life. So you, just in understanding that concept, that a transformation is what is needed, you're already further along than most people ever get in this life. If you can grasp just that attitude, it'll serve you for the rest of your life. And you'll understand about the ups and the downs. No up is ever permanent, and neither are the downs. So we ride the wave of life, understanding that everything is a transformation. Now, what can we adopt into our life to bring about the transformation we would like to see? All right, that's the second action step of pillar number one. I'd like you to choose, please write this down in your workbooks. Choose one simple new routine and bring it into your life. One simple new routine and bring it into your life. One example would be start a morning practice. And we'll be talking about morning practice a little bit later. Pillar number two, community. Addiction is a dis-ease of isolation. It thrives on us being alone. I talk to people and I often personify addiction because for the last 26 years, I've been in a relationship with it, at least consciously. And I was in a relationship with it where it was winning the game for a long time before that. But in this relationship with addiction, I've come to I look at it as a formidable foe, like an entity unto itself. And you know what addiction's favorite food is? Your shame, your loneliness, your guilt. Addiction loves that. It loves you to be alone. It loves to get you alone and to creep up here into your head and to take advantage of all the stuckness in the body and all the pain and the challenge of the life that you've built to this point. And it likes to get a hold and likes to do what it does. We need community. We need each other. So I want you guys to write this down. This is a very important question for yourself. Whether you're in early recovery, whether you're still in addiction, or whether you just want to move ahead to your next place, to up-level your game, this is the question. What is my plan? What is my plan? You have to know the answer. What is your plan for creating the necessary transformation to recover or to advance to the next level? So, what is your plan to connect with community? Key ingredients. The community you want to connect with has to be a community that is going along a similar spiritual path and physical path as you are. They're on a path of healing. They're interested in being better. You want to get around people who are trying to be better in their life. My teacher always told me, consciousness is contagious. You catch you catch the higher consciousness by being around it, or you can be dragged down to a lower consciousness. As it turns out, we are very vulnerable. We're perceptible to the energies of the people that we decide to be around. So as we go looking for a community, we're going to want to choose a community of people who are surviving addiction. Yes, very important, critical, the foundation is there. But we also want to be around a group of people who are dedicated to the idea that not only will you survive addiction, you will also thrive in your life. And as life presents challenges, the community will be there to support each other. Imagine being in a room of people. It could be anywhere, but it's a big room of people. It could be out in the real world, or it could be virtually. And in this room of people, everybody in the room wants everybody else to succeed. Imagine a place like that. Well, that's Recovery 2.0. That's what we've built. And whenever I step into a room physically with other Recovery 2.0 people, it's like a homecoming for all of us. Or if I'm online in our membership, I'm watching the interaction back and forth. I'm watching the comments people are making about the practices that they're doing. And I recognize, like, wow, the community is in full effect. So we need that. You must go out and find a group of people. And here's another key: daily engagement. Daily engagement. This is a one day at a time life. A lot of people attribute that idea to people who are in 12-step programs because they talk about one day at a time. But as far as I can tell, there's no human being who operates in life any other way. It is a one day at a time life. We have to do certain things each day to thrive. And one of the things we're going to have to do to move again from here to there is to connect with community and to connect each day. Last thing I want to say to you is this on this topic. If there's any one thing that I have learned in my recovery of 26 years that helps a person to lead, to get to sustainable long-term recovery, the one gift that I would offer to anybody, the nugget, would be: don't be alone in your head with negativity. Pick up the phone, reach out, call, build relationships. And I mean, never. Like, I won't allow myself to sit 15 minutes in a terrible emotion that I feel could drag me down into a really rough place. I'm always calling my teachers, my friends, my sponsors, my therapists, healers, my dear wife, friends and family who I know I can trust and who can hear this kind of stuff. So I just want you to know, you don't have to be alone anymore. Like, we're here. There's too many options now to not be alone, that to be alone would be a choice. And I hope that you will choose not to be. Now, some people say, well, what if I pick a community of people or a particular recovery path that isn't right for me? Well, if you choose a path that's not right for you, you can always change, of course. But I've noticed the strangest thing. When people abandon a path or abandon a particular community they've been trying to relate to, they don't have another community in place. Now, it would be ill-advised to leave a job that was supporting you and your family without having another job. So I say to people, if you're going to leave one community or you're going to leave one path, make sure you have another path ready to go the same day. Because we don't want to leave a big lapse where we just sort of feel like we're floating and we're without a community and we're without a plan of action, because that can really lead to some tough places. Okay, action step. Find a community where you can be among like-minded people who are going through the same transformation you are and who are committed not just to surviving, but to thriving. So you can write that down. Pillar number 3, take care of the body. take care of the body. I'm talking about the physical body. Now, what's the issue? Stress. Stress is the issue. Conditioning, tension patterns, stuck energy. 12 years into my recovery, I was living with a horrible back condition, in pain from morning until night. I was miserable. I went to every kind of healer you could imagine, but nobody seemed to be able to fix me. And I was thinking things like, I'm 12 years sober, and this is where I've gotten to? And you can see from that kind of thinking that it's not much of a leap to go to that next thought of, I don't think I want to stay in this kind of pain much longer. And you know where that leads. Eventually it leads to those two famous words. I'm going to say a profane word here. Please forgive me, but fuck it. When those two words happen for someone like me, and maybe for someone like you, I've noticed the next chain of events in my life are not necessarily the most positive, the most loving, the most helpful, the most connected, the most wise. Does that make some sense to you guys? I hope you get that. Yes. Okay, so, all right. If the issue is stress, we have to ask ourselves, all right, how are we orienting ourselves to the world? How are we being in the world? Now, in my life, stress has been a big issue from childhood all the way forward. And it's been something that I've had to work with and continue to work with in my life. And I've made a lot of progress with it. But at that time, when I was 12 years sober, and that's now about 14 years ago, I was in trouble in a way that felt to me like my life as I knew it was going to end. I had not oriented myself towards the idea of ease in the body, of comfort, of being comfortable in my body. And in fact, everything I was doing was creating more stress, more tension, more pain. My decision-making process was somehow off. And my way of, literally, the way I would sort of be in the world was just stressful. Well, what happens? It goes into the body. And the body takes a beating. And when the body takes a beating, it speaks to you in the form of pain, in this case, chronic pain. So what has to happen for a person to move out of chronic pain into a place of ease? Well, first thing that needs to happen is I had to change my mental attitude. I needed to shift. And I needed to see that my way of being in the world, even though I was sober, created stress. Next, I had to truly adopt a one-day-at-a-time response. What I mean by that is this healing of my pain in my body had to become the most important thing in my day. Not all the work and the workaholism, not all the relationship challenges, not all the family issues. I somehow had to wake up each morning and put my mind to the idea that this has to heal. It's the most important thing in my life because I can't move. I can't do anything. I'm truly in an impoverished physical state. Now, once I made that decision, I started to meet the most extraordinary people, the most extraordinary teachers, the most extraordinary healers who really understood how to unlock the healing power of the body. And I met my teacher, Guru Prem, who really changed my entire life, and it's because of him that the Recovery 2.0 program exists at all. He told me basically these things. Breath is key. This is what he told me. First session I ever had with Guru Prem, I'm in so much pain. Somebody told me I had to go see him. I said no. And then another person the same night, totally coincidentally, told me I had to go see him. And I said yes. First thing he said to me is, Tommy, I know how you're going to die. And I'm like, okay, you got my attention. How am I going to die, Guru Prem? And he said, you're going to die on an exhale. Now, I thought about that. Die on an exhale. I can't refute that statement. The last thing I do on this earth, the last thing you will do will be to exhale. And he said, yes. And you came in on an inhale, just like everybody else. Then he said, the more you pay attention to the breath consciously, and you use the breath and the breath practices I will teach you, the deeper your healing will be, and the more fulfilled your life will be. And the first thing that flooded my mind was doubt. No, it can't be that simple. You mean to tell me that I could learn how to breathe better than I'm doing, and somehow that's going to heal me from this debilitating back condition? Not only that, heal my life and create a level of existence beyond the joy that I had ever experienced in my life. He said, yes, that's possible for you. And I said to myself, whatever this man has, I'm coming for it now. I'm coming for it because I was in pain, I was lonely, I was scared, and I was stuck. Even though I was off drugs and alcohol, I was still stuck in what I call the frequency of addiction. It was really living in me. And it was manifesting in difficult relationships, codependency, gambling, smoking cigarettes, and stress. So when I say take care of the physical body, we need something that is going to involve the breath, going to involve moving the physical body, and it's also going to have to bring the mind into it. We need some kind of practice that can help us to get the issues out of our tissues and to clean up. Now, moving the body is good. Bringing conscious awareness of breath to that movement, now that is a next level practice, and we'll talk about it shortly. Meditation, also very key. Now, meditation, of course, will associate meditation with the mind. But if we can get the mind to relax, the body can follow. The stress that we're feeling is usually related to a phenomenon, and I'm going to tell you about it right now. The phenomenon is a mental phenomenon. All the time, we are either trying to recreate pleasure or avoid pain. And the mind does this little seesaw back and forth, sometimes for our entire life. And we never get out of the cycle of, yes, I have a memory of what pleasure was, let me recreate that pleasure. I have a memory of what was painful, let me avoid that pain. And so we get into that mental cycle, and that's conditioning, and that brings stress, and that prevents us from being spontaneous in our life. And that prevents us from being truly creative in our life, because all we're trying to create is based upon a memory from the past. So we need a practice that's also going to help us to cut these ties with the past so that we can come fully present. Meditation does that. And through the process of calming the mind and cutting these ties with the past, the body is able to access a new frequency, a new level of health, a new level of relaxation, and the way that we relate to the world changes and shifts completely. So meditation will be key. Now, what else is key for the body? Well, we talked about the mind a little bit. We talked about getting the issues out of our tissues. We talked about lowering our stress level. All this is going to be very important. And let's not forget about diet. Now, our relationship with food. We could speak for 100 hours on this topic alone. 100 hours on this topic alone. But we're just going to speak a few minutes. But hopefully it'll be juicy minutes and it'll inspire you to come for more. I once spoke at a 12-step meeting. And as I always do, I brought up food. Because for me, in my healing of alcoholism and my healing of drug addiction and my healing of addiction in general, the addictive chatter in my mind required a complete overhaul of my diet. Specifically, I noticed a connection between the food that I was eating and the level of addictive chatter in my mind. And I noticed that if I ate a diet that was more balanced, that brought about stable blood sugar levels, I could enjoy food tremendously, because I love to enjoy food. I could enjoy food, but it wouldn't translate into very painful addictive thinking. Once I made that connection for myself and I really understood how to change my diet and what was right for me, and that's key for any of us, is you have to find out what's right for you. There's no two people on the earth that have exactly the same diet. Close, but we really need to find out what works for us. And once I did that, I could no longer speak at a 12-step meeting without bringing up food. And by the way, the drugs that people take are so depleting in terms of vitamins, minerals, and hydration. So if you understand that you're depleting your system, or with alcohol, you're completely skewing your blood sugar levels, then it should make perfect sense to you that when you get off drugs and alcohol, in order to feel whole and comfortable and to find ease in the body, we're going to have to find the right nourishment. This is a core tenet of Recovery 2.0. This work is so important. So I spoke at that 12-step meeting, and I gave them my rap, and I spoke about alcohol, and I spoke about what I normally speak about, my experience, my strength, and my hope. But my experience included a lot about food. So this guy comes up to me after the meeting, and he says, he sort of gets up in my face, and he reeks like cigarettes. And he says to me, "Hey man, we don't talk about food here, okay? We don't talk about food. We talk about alcohol here. We talk about drugs here. This is not about food. Food," he said, "is an outside issue." And I took a step back from this guy and I said, "Look, you and I want the same thing. We want to be healthy. We want to be free of addiction. And we want to help other people do the same thing. And what I have discovered in my experience is food is an inside issue." Now, that guy is not a representative of 12-step programs. There are many people who understand that food is an inside issue. But it is cliche, and we do see a lot of people getting sober and eating food that does not help the body, is not conducive to feeling well. And what happens when people like us don't feel well? We've been over it. We reach out, don't we? We reach out for something that's going to make us feel better. And gosh, if that happens to be a relapse, that could be the biggest mistake of our life. And so we have to look at this issue as we think about a response to addiction. We have to look at the body as an important place where our work is going to be done here as well. So critical. Okay. Now, here's an action step for this third pillar. Learn how to use your breath, mind, and body to move energy to get the issues out of your tissues. This is going to require a teacher, and it's going to require some teachings. And we happen to have some of those for you, and I'll talk to you about them a little bit later. Pillar number 4, sadhana practice. Now, I'm going to write this word for you right here in the chat bar. Sadhana. Sadhana practice. Sadhana practice. There you go. It's coming out now. Good. Sadhana is a word that simply means spiritual practice. Now, while it's called spiritual practice, it includes the physical, it includes the mental, and it also includes spiritual connectedness. Sadhana can take many forms. What we stress in Recovery 2.0 is for everyone to have a morning sadhana, a morning practice, which they get to design, or they can adopt one of our many ones on our site, so that they can do a practice that brings them into connection with themselves, preferably in the morning, because it will set you up for the most incredible day. Now, here's a couple things about sadhana that I want you to understand. And when I talk about sadhana here, we're talking about morning sadhana. So I'm envisioning it being done in the morning as the first thing that you really do after you wake up, go to the bathroom and shower. You get onto a yoga mat, or whatever your sadhana looks like, you get there and you do this particular work, and you do it each day. Now, here's a fact. How you start your day, the first 2 hours of your day, are going to determine the outcome of your life. And I would extend that to say how you start your day is going to determine the outcome of your recovery. Why do I say that? Those first 2 hours are going to set you up for what happens the whole rest of that day. When you get some momentum and you start to sit and you do your yoga, you do your meditation, you do your breath work, you do your exercise, you do your walk in nature, or you do your journaling, you do your dancing, you do your singing, and the many, many other forms that a sadhana can take. When you do that work, it's like a victory. It's a victory to give yourself before anything else happened that day. Right out of the gate, you're victorious already. It's a gift for you. It's self-love. It's an act of self-love. Now I want you to think right now. When you woke up this morning, think about this morning when you woke up in bed. Were you flooded with positive thinking? When you woke up this morning, was it, wow, I feel so great. Everything's great in my life. This is the best day ever. I cannot wait to get up. Wow, it's going to be incredible. Did you wake up like that? Anybody? We got a few people saying nope. One person, a couple people said yes, good for you. Well, it's wonderful when that happens. And what we learn is that it doesn't happen in most cases. It doesn't happen in most cases. Most people wake up with negativity in their mind, particularly people who are stuck in addiction or who have plateaued and are trying to get to that next place. The way to combat negativity, to defeat it, to defeat judgment, to defeat self-sabotage, to prove to yourself that you can do it, is to engage in a sadhana practice. So the last thing I'll say about sadhana, you can develop your character, your entire being, if you design a sadhana that brings you into conscious connection with yourself. And it's been one of the most, if not the most important practices of my life. And I am excited and anxious to call it one of the 4 pillars. And I'm so excited to turn you on to it if you're not already involved. I can see a lot of people are involved in it, and I'm imagining that many people are not yet. Okay, now, the last thing I want to say before moving into the final part of our presentation tonight, I'm going to quote Yogi Bhajan, who was a famous yoga teacher that brought Kundalini yoga to the West, and a revered man in many respects, and an incredibly powerful teacher. He said this: I walk in a constant shower of self-forgiveness. I walk in a constant shower of self-forgiveness. The way that works, and by the way, I think all of us need that, because we're human beings and we make mistakes. We're human beings and we've done things that we're not proud of. We're human beings and we're looking at our life consciously on this path of recovery, and it's painful sometimes. I walk in a constant shower of self-forgiveness. The way that comes about is through the practice of sadhana. Because you start to do that every day and you get some momentum around it, you start to fall in love with the true part of yourself. You start to heal at the most deep, deep, deep level. So what I'd like to do now is I'd like to give you guys a little tour of Recovery 2.0, of our site. Would you like that? Is that okay? We'll take you through just a couple things. Is that cool? All right. Awesome. Cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the screen here, and let's hopefully this will work. And we'll go like this. Okay. Let's see. So here we go. Boom. All right. So when you come to our site these days, what you're going to see is this beautiful interface where we learn basically about what this membership has to offer. There's live presentations, workshops, there's Q&A sessions, much like we're doing right now. There's Ask Tommy. That's a video library of questions that people have sent me that I decided to answer in video form. We have lots of wellness tips, as you can imagine. And we have a library of teachings. The library of teachings consists of recovery lectures, yoga classes, meditation classes, nutritional information classes, as well as over 200 hours of interviews I've done with over 150 experts in the world. And all of that is housed in our community for people to dig into and to share with their friends and family as they see fit. We also have daily practices and weekly routines. And we have our private Recovery 2.0 community on Facebook, where I have to say it's one of the most engaged forums I've ever seen. And the amount of love and support that's exchanged there is nothing short of just unbelievable and miraculous. We also have Recovery 2.0 audiobook and video author's notes, which is, for anyone who's read my book, I did 7 hours of video taking people through the book chapter by chapter, expanding on the concepts in each chapter. And we also have an audiobook. Now, when I click on dashboard, it takes me over here to this lovely dashboard. And I put up these videos every so often to welcome people to the site. And what you see here is a number of buttons where you can get to certain content we want to bring your attention to. So for example, these R20 sessions. So there's that. Now with R20 sessions, every Monday night of the year, that's 52 Mondays each year, I or another presenter, another teacher, offer a live interactive webinar similar to what we're doing right now, every Monday night. Now talk about a new routine in your life. That's what I'm talking about, a new routine. Is you bring that routine every Monday night in, you come to those meetings. We have hundreds of people in our community that come every Monday night, and it's just a love fest there. So here you can see some of the last ones that I did. We have what to do when fear knocks, codependency, the disease of the lost self, presence like a beacon, that was a meditation that I took people through, conquering self-animosity, and many more. And then we have other people where we bring in guest presenters. Here's Ryan Hampton on the left here. And Ryan is one of the most visible and important advocates for people in recovery, doing his advocacy work in Washington, D.C. An amazing story of recovery all his own, and just a champion. And so he was willing to come and address our community. Then we have here Sukhdev, a wonderful yoga teacher, and a woman who has overcome unbelievable trauma in her family. And she tells her amazing story of healing. It's really, really something. And then over here you have Meadow DeVore, and Meadow lectures on financial sobriety. How about that? That idea, financial sobriety. And she really tells you how to get there. It's really something. So this is a little bit about our membership. We have obviously different topics that you can get involved in, different recovery paths, yoga classes, different addictions, all our stuff. It's pretty incredible. All of the conferences where I've done these interviews of people, you can choose a conference and go into the May 2014 conference, and here you can access all of these wonderful talks from Ram Dass or Mastin Kipp or Rolf Gates or Nikki Myers or Dr. Gabor Mate. So there's just really a rich, rich catalog here available for folks. So there's that. Now, let's see. So right now, I'm imagining that you guys are in, one of three camps here. If I had to guess, I'm going to stop sharing. I imagine you're in one of three camps, okay? You might be the person who has a time objection to joining Recovery 2.0. Say, it takes too much time. I don't have the time to do it. And I want to say a few things about that. Number one, did you ever say in active addiction, I'm too tired to go get high? I never did. That was not something you would have heard out of my mouth. I normally would go to any lengths to get high. I have learned to go to any length necessary in my recovery. Now, you can take the membership in Recovery 2.0. You can listen on the go, in your car. You can download audio files, and you can listen on your devices. You can be on the treadmill. You can be traveling from one place to another. You can be on the subway. And just being able to tap into teachings, high quality, transformative teachings, whenever you need them, right there to me, it's easy, it's not time consuming, it's really fun, and it's really elevating. Other people in here, if the time is not an objection, you might feel like, it looks great, but I'm not ready to get serious about my recovery. And I think if you're in this room, that doesn't really describe you. But the last person who might have hesitations here, well, there's two more. One of them says, it's a little expensive. And I say, well, let's look at that. Normally, to join our membership is $140 a year. That's a little less than $12 a month. But if you join in the next 3 days, we're giving you membership for the next year for $97. Now that's 26 cents a day. So I ask you, do you really feel like to access a resource like this with transformational teachings, many teachers who will help to guide you, practices, sadhana practices you can join from, and a community of people to really tap into, is that not worth 26 cents a day? It is. I mean, I think any of us would say that. But when we hear, $97, we think, oh my goodness, too much. But let's really look at what the value is here. 12 months. And what about a lecture every Monday night? My goodness, I think, God, could I go to a lecture every Monday night of the year and only pay 26 cents for that lecture? I don't think so. So there's that issue. And then some of you might feel, and this is important, very, very important. How do I know this will work? How do I know this is going to work for me? And it's a legitimate question. So I want to go right into a video that lasts just 2 minutes. And I don't want to answer that question for you. I want other people to answer that question for you. So here we go. Okay.
I first went to rehab when I was 17.
I have been in a recovery program off and on for years. I've tried a lot of different things. I've gone to see a lot of different speakers. I've read a million books.
We decided at one point to make a change.
Yes.
It was the title that grabbed me first. In reading Recovery 2.0, I found a voice that brought me back to some of my college days. Tommy's voice was unapologetic in the sense that he'd gone through something, and I felt I'd gone through something similar. Reading his book, you feel like he's literally standing across from you, talking to you.
When I stumbled upon Recovery 2.0 a couple years ago with the online conferences, I really kind of liked hearing people who told their own stories as well as different ways that they came across recovery.
I started following it on Facebook. It would appear in my newsfeed, and I would watch the videos, and I found myself being inspired by what I saw as a really healthy role model.
The whole sort of process that Tommy has developed is very, very hopeful and very loving.
That energy or that level of health and wholeness that he is exuding is something that I would like to have in my life someday.
Real depth of spiritual recovery that I've been looking for a long time.
I have started to incorporate yoga, spirituality.
The meditation that goes with the yoga practice is amazing.
One of the first things that I was introduced to with Recovery 2.0 was to sit alone somewhere where you feel grounded for an hour quietly, just your thoughts.
The first place to begin that look for something more is inside. And it's sitting in that morning sadhana practice and learning from each other how to turn inward and quiet the noise of our mind to see something different inside, to see something that truly is perfect and beautiful.
and you could help see the authenticity in other people, their soul. So it really goes back to the Sadhna, the truth is my identity. It really allows you to feel that when you're doing the yoga.
I thought if I can do a morning practice every day, that's something. And I have to say that hearing Tommy say,
Me getting on this mat this morning, now that's a victory.
congratulations on the victory of making it to your mat. It's wonderful. It really helps me.
It's just been a really, really amazing discovery for me.
We are different people. I mean, we've changed. We've changed. We are new. We are new people. We're a new couple. We're new people. Our kids are different. Our home is now a home, a true home.
So thank you for watching that. Were you guys able to hear that and see that? I'm hoping. Did that work out? Okay, good. So, look, my life is dedicated to this work. There's nothing else I'm meant to be doing here. And to have that kind of feedback touches me very deeply. And I'm happy to report that we're getting thousands and thousands and thousands of such emails and letters and comments and all the rest of it every month. And so we just have to keep going down this road and keep building and keep getting people aware of the fact that there is a way through this thing. There's a community that exists. There's a group of people out here who are working not just on surviving addiction, but who believe in the idea of thriving at every level of life, at every level of their being. So what I want to offer to you is this. Let me get out of here. There we go. If you join now, and for the next, I think till, I guess it's 3 days. We're giving everybody 3 days. It's $97. You need a code. You need a code. So I'm going to send you to the website. I'm going to put the code in for the website. So it's just r20.com. Go there, and you can click on join, of course. And then here's the code. This is the code you have to put in. And it's case sensitive. So it's R2097 membership with a capital M. Capital R2097 membership with a capital M. It's right there in the chat feed. Use that code at checkout, and the $140 price will come down for you to $97. And by the way, that's $97 a year always. As long as you remain a member in our community, it will never go up. So that's our commitment. Let's see. The bonuses. We spoke earlier of 2 more bonuses that you guys can all have just for staying to the end to hear this entire discussion. And there's 2 bonuses, and they're going to be available to you. I think Stacy can put the URL in there. I think it's, there it is, r20.com/webinar bonus. And there you're going to see 2 videos. 2 videos. One of them is called ESP. Here, you know what? Let's just go right there. I'll show you. So here we go. Okay. So we'll go into here. Right here. Webinar bonus, you're going to see this. ESP, energized, sensitized, and present. This is for people, obviously, who are not yet members, because members have access to this. But this is a bonus just for coming. And that's an incredible sadhana practice for you to do. And then I wanted to give you a meditation. And it's the meditation for dealing with the monkey mind. And who among us doesn't understand what that is? So those will be your bonuses. Go ahead and grab them. And they're yours. You can download them. You can share them. You can take them anywhere you go. It's a gift from us to you. And we hope you put them to work in your life every day, because they will serve you. They really will serve you. Okay. So just to conclude here, we got about 8 seconds, but I'm gonna go 1 minute over. 1 minute over. There's a bonus 5th pillar. We talked about the 4 pillars. Well, there's a bonus 5th pillar. Bonus 5th pillar is service. That's being of service to other people. Everything in life is made more meaningful if it's serving a higher purpose. So let's take these practices and let's take our membership and let's spread these good works to anyone who can benefit. And let's be of service, each of us as individuals, in our own lives, in whatever ways we can be, to help the people that come across our field, our plane, if you will. If we can get into the attitude that we're just supposed to be in service, not in service to this or that or him or her or any particular thing, but we're just in service, this world will be a much better place, and any addiction in your life will slowly dissipate and very soon be gone. I wish that for you. I'm sending you so much love and gratitude for joining me tonight. Stay on your recovery path. Ask for help when you need it. And never despair, there's a way through every block. I so hope to see you in our membership and to connect with you down the line, both virtually and also in the live events that we do as well. Love you guys. Take good care. Bye-bye.